Bill Gates is in a lot of trouble, yo. And it's not just about STD and Russian girls either. It's also about one big thing.
China!
And right now, everyone is asking one big question. How in the hell did Gates know about the pandemic 2 months before it happened? Well, after digging through the PDF King's emails, I found something very interesting. And it could mean that Bill Gates is gonna go behind prison gates. So, 准备的爆米花 because 真的是代志大条。Warning. Although about 85% of everything I'm about to say is completely backed up by straight up hardcore facts, in the interest of my personal safety, I will never delete myself. This is all made up.
Man, there you go with that bullshit.
Now, so far, there have been 0 arrests in connection to the Epstein files, but there's actually one very big victim that no one's mentioned, Bill Gates.
Dear Bill, I cannot believe that you have chosen to disregard our friendship developed over the last 6 years. I am aware that accidents happen. It is how each of us has chosen to deal with this unfortunate event that has me dismayed beyond comprehension. You have decided to discharge me from my job, asked me to be the major actor in a cover-up so that you can maintain the reputation that you have worked so hard to achieve, and have categorically told me that we cannot have any direct, ongoing business relationship in total disregard for its impact on the public perception of my reputation. To add insult to the injury, you implore me to please delete the emails regarding your STD, your request that I provide you antibiotics that you can surreptitiously give to Melinda, and the description of your penis. You also made it clear to me that I am not to refer to as that is another topic that must remain between the two of us. In return for all of these requests, which I would have done without a second thought, I am not to attend meetings with Melinda.
And right now, social media is shitting on Bill Gates bad. Talking about his love for Russian hookers, secretly feeding antibiotics to his wife, and eating babies. There are rumors and truths swirling everywhere right now, yo. And the result is a very upset and very scorned ex-wife.
I think we're having a reckoning as a society, right? No girl should ever be put in the situation that they were put in by Epstein and whatever was going on with all of the various people around him. For me, it's personally hard whenever those details come up, right? Because brings back memories of some very, very painful times in my marriage, but I have moved on from that. I purposely pushed it away and I moved. So whatever questions remain there of what I can't even begin to know all of it, those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things.
And of course, in proper fashion, a few days ago, Bill Gates came out and denied everything. But it was the worst denial attempt ever.
You know, I never went to the island. I never met any women. No, apparently Jeffrey wrote an email to himself. That email was never sent. The email is, false. So I don't know what his thinking was there.
He wrote it to himself? So I did some digging. Turns out he did write to himself. You see that up there? The sender and the receiver is the exact same email. So I did some more digging. Turns out Jeffrey Epstein has 4 different email accounts. Some he used for business, some he used for personal, and others he used for his own dirty deeds.
Some fuckery's going on.
Bruh, pretty much everyone from our generation in 2013, we use Gmail to write our own notes. But real talk, we mostly use it as ourselves because no one wanted to forget the greatness of Bazoomba MILFs.
Booby, Bazoomba, Bazoombas.
So up to this point, it seems like what Bill Gates said is pretty based. Maybe Epstein wrote that draft but never sent it. But here's the thing, it's total bullshit, and I'm gonna prove it because I found another draft that he sent to himself where he wrote a resignation letter for Bill Gates' chief advisor.
I have decided to resign my position effective immediately with BG3 Foundation. I have not come to this decision quickly or without a great deal of thought. During the past few weeks, I have been caught up in a severe marital dispute between Melinda and Bill. I have the greatest respect for my friend of 7 years and wish them both well. In my role as his right hand, I have been asked and wrongly acquiesced into participating in things that have ranged from the morally inappropriate to the ethically unsound, and have been repeatedly asked to do things that get near and potentially over the line into the illegal. Though it was kindly suggested that I make a transition to a new position after my 6 years of servitude, and that Bill would, in his words, give me 2 years severance pay, I feel it would be dishonest to myself and my future. From helping Bill to get drugs in order to deal with consequences with Russian girls, to facilitating his illicit trysts with married women, to being asked to provide Adderall for bridge tournaments, as I am a medical doctor but have no prescription writing ability.
Now this is really interesting because Epstein wrote this in the POV of Boris Nikolov, Bill Gates' chief advisor for his Gates Foundation. So basically, he wrote a resignation letter for Boris, and I will tell you why a little bit later. But remember this date, 7月18日2013年. And then 2 months after this, Epstein received a letter directly from Bill Gates.
Boris has decided to leave the foundation and BGC3 to focus on private sector work. Over the past 6 years with the foundation, and the last 3 of those working directly with me, Boris made very significant contributions to our success. Nevertheless, with our programs well established and working so well, Boris has decided the time is ripe to move on. Although I am sad to see him go, he does so with my full support. Boris has graciously agreed to continue working on projects with us all through the end of the year to ensure a successful transition. Thank you. Bill.
So that means that although the JE Vacation account wrote the draft, the final version was sent directly to Bill Gates. Because here's one thing you need to know. There is so much evidence in the Epstein files that Bill, Boris, and Epstein were communicating with each other in many different ways, from MSN to iMessage to even Signal. So I think it's safe to assume that the STD email was ultimately sent to Bill Gates. In that very same email, there was a very crucial message that you must see.
It has also been brought to my attention that in addition to secret affairs with Russian girls and the consumption of illegal substances, Bill Gates, like you, the viewer, have not liked this video and subscribed to our channel. Please take immediate action to rectify this situation.
Nah, I'm just fucking around. But real talk, I think that STD and that resignation letters were not regular messages. It's fucking blackmail, yo. Huh? Blackmail the richest man in the world at that time? Nah, bruh. Epstein is rich as as well. He got CIA money, he got Mossad money, he's one for nothing basically. So if not for money, what in the entire world would you want from the richest man in the world at that time? A Windows activation key maybe?
Please! God damn it! Hate this hacker crap!
Nah, bruh. I believe we might have witnessed a Mossad spy compromise one of the richest men in the world and turned him into his own CHS, a confidential human source, all via these 2 letters, the Boris resignation letter and the STD blackmail letter. Now, allow me to give you some more context about Bill Gates.
At an intersection, a protester suddenly ran into the middle of the street and in front of the oncoming tanks. The tanks stopped, and the lead tank tried moving to one side and then to the other side to avoid hitting him. But the protester kept running in the same path.
Now, you might not know, but less than 1 year after the Tiananmen Square incident, Bill Gates was on the first flight to China. And 2 years after that, Microsoft headquarters opened in Beijing. And at that time, China barely had any computers, yo. Bill Gates was right there.
The Senate Judiciary Committee last week sent letters to 3 major left-of-center philanthropies questioning their compliance with tax regulations in light of their grants to Chinese government entities. So the Gates Foundation, through grants and direct payments, have funded the Chinese Communist Party and its allies. I'm writing today to ask you whether these reports are true or not, and if true, how your organization's conduct comports with the 501c3 requirements.
Simply put, Bill Gates is pro-China as fuck. And now the Trump administration is on his ass. Okay, now back to 2013 post-email. In March of that year, Xi Jinping became president and met directly with Bill Gates. 4 months later, Epstein wrote those Boris and Gates STD resignation letters. And from our previous episode, there was one text message thread that really stood out from 2019 and sent me down the rabbit hole that created the episode you're watching now.
I watched your interview. My China intelligence is that they want a crisis. Maybe stop selling silicon. More when I see you. So when I went back and read that 2019 Epstein message, that made me keep wondering, who in the world is Epstein's confidential human source? Or China human source? And how in the hell did he know that China needed a crisis at that point? Because if you ask me, this sounds like some intel from very high up in the CCP government. And this intel was very precise, yo, because just 7 months later, this happened.
The first case of China's new and deadly coronavirus has been reported here in the U.S. According to the CDC, the patient is in his 30s and traveled in November to Wuhan, China, the epicenter of the outbreak. He's currently quarantined at a hospital just north of Seattle. Now, some of you might be a little bit confused, so let me put it simply for you. First, Epstein is a Mossad agent. Second, Mossad don't like China too much. Third, Bill Gates had a balls-deep connection to China. Fourth, Epstein used an STD threat and Boris to blackmail and compromise Gates into becoming his CHS. 5, in the heat of Trump's China trade war, someone told Epstein that China was in desperate need of a crisis, and they might even be willing to create one. You got it? Bill Gates is Epstein's China human source. Allegedly.
The mission of the Pandemic Emergency Board is to provide recommendations to deal with the major global challenges arising in response to an unfolding pandemic.
We're at the start of what's looking like it will be a severe pandemic, and there are problems emerging that can only be solved by global business and governments working together. How should governments, business, and international organizations allocate and distribute pandemic antivirals and medical supplies to the people who need the most.
A global stockpile would certainly help ensure a more rational and strategic allocation, but the reality is that we don't have the logistics capability, even within the UN, to bring that together in one place and run it. So this is where I think a collaboration between the international organizations like the World Health Organization and the private sector, which runs these supply chains for many purposes every day, understand where the supplies are, make smart decisions about how to allocate them to the people who need them in the places that need them the most, and then work with the industry to move those supplies from where they are today to where they need to be.
Now, this video you saw is a conference at the World Economic Forum. And do you want to know the title of this forum? Event 201, a global pandemic exercise. And this so-called exercise was held in October 2019, 6 months after Epstein received that intel about China needing a crisis and 2 months before COVID hit. And do you want to know who was the key sponsor and partner for that event? The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Fuck.
Nigga, Gates knew that crisis was coming. And here's the kicker. Right after Epstein received that crisis intel, just 3 months later, he deleted himself in prison. Allegedly. And after his death, guess who was the one person who seems to be giddier than a pig in shit in public?
Is there a lesson for you, for anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead, so you know, in general, you always have to be careful.
So, in conclusion, Bill Gates has had a balls deep connection to the CCP for the past 30 years. Even Xi Jinping called him his friend.
你是我今年见到的第一位美国朋友.
So Gates knew a lot of stuff about China, and Epstein had evidence on Gates about his dirty deeds. And if that evidence ever got out, his wife would have divorced him and taken half.
I take half his shit.
So, the Mossad CIA agent known as Jeffrey Epstein blackmailed his ass, turned him into a CHS, and got lots of information about China, especially the pandemic operation, which may have cost him his life, allegedly.
It's true.
But that leaves one very important question. Is Epstein really dead?
Epstein's Fortnite account is active in Israel? No. Fortnite tracker, we have, all right, gentlemen, we have the Fortnite account right now. Let's pull it up. The profile has just been made private. Okay, so this is why people think that it's Jeffrey Epstein. He got a charge for $25 for V-Bucks on Fortnite. And this was on May 7th, 2019. And this is, again, keep in mind, justice.gov. This is the government website for Jeffrey Epstein right here. And this is Littlest Jeff with jeevacation@gmail.com. My guy faked his death and immediately started playing Fortnite. Fortnite Chapter 1, Season 10 ran from August 1st to October 2019. He's in Tel Aviv playing Fortnite. This is Epstein, isn't it? Dude, who is this guy?
So, the digging continues, and now I've got to go find out one thing. Is Epstein really dead?
Not really. Maybe. It's classified.
You just can't make this shit up. 这么精彩，让我们继续看下去。